Hello, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. So happy to join you today. The chat's going. I'm trying to grab a lot of what you guys are saying. Um, yeah, okay. I can. I could actually spend a whole show just reading chat things because you guys are so insightful and you're so you just what a brilliant bunch of people. Anyway, real quick, though, I open the show all the time showing what I have on. And people are asking me, well, why? Why do you do that? Because they get aggravated that I take up the first few minutes. They wanted me to jump into what I'm going to talk about. But I do this because this is for our ministry, and this is how we move forward. I wish we were independently wealthy. I'm believing that will happen before the end of the year. Some of the wealth transfer will happen and things will occur that we've been waiting for years. But until then, this is one of the ways that we're able to go out, do all these gatherings, bring people in, and it's always free. And so just kind of bear with me, okay? This top is called Take a Stand Camouflage Top. There are only a few in stock in each size. I mean, look at the stretch on this. It's incredible. It's made in the USA. They likely won't last, Jenna said, because of the low price. It's under $26. And it's cut so that it goes like this in the front and covers all the lasagna. Okay? Just so you know. When I say that, it's like lasagna put stuff on you right there. So it covers all the lasagna. Really a great top. I love camo. I don't know, maybe I should have been in the army. And then there's the necklace. Look how beautiful this is. This is the Psalm 91 double wing pendant. In the center is a real Austrian crystal. This is stainless steel, won't tarnish, won't rust. And then last but not least, the mug I'm using today is His Mercies Are New Every Morning. But the one Jenna's showing in the description below, I believe, is Faith, Hope, and Love with a cross, and it's got like the watercolor thing, which is absolutely gorgeous too. I just happened to pull this one out. And so there's a bunch of other designs as well. You just, and they're 11 ounces, so it's like a perfect size. So go in the description below. She said that's where all the links are. Just click on those and you'll get it. But honestly, this is going to go really fast at that price. If you guys like it, just go over there and get it. I guarantee you it is like wearing a pajama top. I mean, you could wear it as pajamas, and I'm not kidding. Okay, so also she said you can find them go on joyandcountry.com and go to Delora's Closet. She said she put up a lot of new items yesterday, all over heavier fall clothing. And remember, like you buy this, it's under $26, free shipping, which is like $6 or $7. So you're spending like $18 for the top. It's incredible. I don't know how she's doing this, but praise the Lord, she is. So if you've never bought anything from us before, just go to joyandcountry.com, buy what you want, put in the code WELCOME10 at the end. You get 10% off everything as well. And still, get free US shipping. Okay. All right. This is a very interesting topic. It's not something I've found before, or I saw someone do something on this. I don't really watch anyone. And people say to me all the time, well, why not? You could get some inspiration, but I don't. I like to hear from God. I like to be led where he wants me to go. So needless to say, this is probably one of the toughest ones I've ever done. This has taken me nearly 11, 12 hours to put together. But after seeing what is happening with the Federal Reserve and President Trump, which I'm watching very closely because it's one of the most important situations happening in our country today. So why? Why that? Why not? Now, yeah, trafficking, all of that. But honestly, what I'm going to talk about today is where it all stems from. Everything. The Federal Reserve and the Nephilim, which is from the fallen angels, is where all of this is coming out of. Okay, so let's begin where the adventure has to begin. And that's in Genesis 6, 1 through 4. Let me read that to you. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God, now I could go down and prove this to you through Hebrew and everything. They're talking about the angels, okay? Sons of God were the angels. But in this passage, they're referring to the fallen angels, that the sons of God, fallen angels, saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, they were beautiful, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So meaning, if I'm a fallen angel and I want, I see 10 women that are beautiful, I took them all as wives, and obviously that's how they ended up proliferating. But I'll explain that later. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days. It's referring back to the sons of God. What happened after taking the wives? They had Nephilim. There were giants in the earth in those days. Those are the giants. And also that when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, they laid with them, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Okay. So that's where I'm getting all this from. I'm not getting this out of my head. I'm not getting this up from online. It's right from the scripture. Okay. And I checked many, many translations. It all says the same thing. So just some background. The highest United Nations base in the world is on Mount Hermon. Hermon means forbidden place. According to the book of Enoch, that is exactly where the fallen angels landed. In the year 1666, I find that to be a very interesting number. In the year 1666, King Louis XIV authorized the building of the Paris Observatory. He established meridians at that point. That was the Paris meridian. That's France's prime meridian on the earth. The meridian points refer to the path of lines which they use to dissect the earth. Round, flat, square, oval. They go by meridian lines, okay? And that was for French maps for over 200 years ago. Since he established that, he made Mount Hermon 33.33 degrees east by 33.33 degrees north. 1/3 of the angels fell from earth. Those are the fallen angels. And the highest rank in Freemasonry, which coincides with all of this, is 33rd degree Freemason. Obviously, the powers of darkness took a God number, 3, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, so many more 3s in the Bible, and they used to pervert it, like the rainbow. They used to pervert it. The rainbow was the promise of God, never to flood the earth again. Noah saw the rainbow. Now it's LGBTQ. So the devil cannot create anything new. He can only pervert what God creates. So Moses wrote that 1/3 of the angels of God left where they were, heaven, and came down to earth and mated with women, which produced a race of human hybrids known as the Nephilim. They actually corrupted the whole earth, and we learned that's why God had to destroy the earth with the great flood. This is part of the reason. But people always ask, how are Nephilim, King James calls them giants, how were they born to normal human beings? Interesting. When I think back, you think, I forget when it came out. I watched it when I was older. It was an older movie called Rosemary's Baby. And I forget, Mia Farrow, I believe, was the lead, where Satan overshadowed Rosemary, and she got pregnant. The Holy Spirit the Spirit of God overshadowed Mary. The Bible says Mary got pregnant with child. She was still a virgin. That's how that happens. So again, counterfeiting God. So what are these giants? What about these giants in Genesis 6? Well, there weren't short giants, okay? The biblical giants were huge. And the further back you go in the Bible, the bigger they get. In Amos, it says they grew from 30 to 120 feet in height. You look it up in Amos 2:9. It says, yet destroyed I the Amorite, Amos the Amorite, before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars, the trees. And he was as strong as the oaks. There's another book, an ancient writing, and that's the book of Jasher. This is what AI says about the book of Jasher on Google. So it's very interesting. It was never included in the canon. During the process of compiling the biblical canon, a final collection of sacred writings were chosen. The book of Jasher was not among the writings selected for inclusion in the canon. It is lost. The original book of Jasher referenced in the Bible is now lost to time. How perfect, although that's not exactly true. What is the book of Jasher? It's an ancient reference. This is all AI now. The Bible itself references the book of Jasher, such as Joshua 10:13, indicating it was considered a source of historical information. But it is a lost text. The book of Jasher, the cohesive text, has been lost for centuries. So Jasher was mentioned in the book of Joshua, Joshua 10:12 through 13, and 2 Samuel 1:18 to 27. In Joshua, it says, get this, is not this written in the book of Jasher? Now, look, I'm not going to go into what he was talking about. It's another whole thing. But Joshua uses the book of Jasher as a correct reference. Is it not written in the book of Jasher? Saying that book is very accurate. And in 2 Samuel, the prophet used it the same way as proof of what he is saying and what he means. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. It was here these prophets, two major prophets of God, both pointing to the book of Jasher as the reference for truth. Yet it somehow got lost. I actually have a proof of the book telling the truth. I spent a lot of time, which is why it took me a lot of time, cross-referencing many of its passages. It's a rather lengthy book with the Old Testament, and it lines up perfectly. But again, that's for another day. So you can get some semblance of who his family line is. And lineage is very important to God. After all, think of this. You open the book of Matthew, and right away, it's got a lineage that points all the way, proving Jesus was part of the line of David. So Jasher, without going through the whole lineage, I could start with Noah, but Jasher was the son of Caleb, who was chosen as a spy from the tribe of Judah to scout the promised land. Caleb and Joshua both urged the Israelites to the truth of that God and they could conquer the land, which was in contrast to the 10 other spies who came back freaking out that there were giants in the land, okay? So what does this all have to do with the Federal Reserve? As we know from our own experience, the love of money is the root of all evil. Bible says it pretty plain, and it's out there. Even people that aren't Christians say the love of money is the root of all evil. And we know, unless the fallen angels made it again after the flood with women, the giants were gone, but the spirits lived on. And they made it again. If they made it the first time, you don't think they made it the second time? So my question is, can the Nephilim spirits that inhabit humans at all Are they carrying out their agenda today? I believe so. I think most of you probably agree. The Bible discusses spirits possessing people. I prayed, as has Dennis, prayed for possessed people. So why wouldn't those who were Nephilim thousands of years ago, why wouldn't they, that spirit that lives on, those ancient spirits that we cannot kill, only God can send them where he's going to send them. Why can't they inhabit a human? But how would that even happen? Humans have free will. If you put yourself in a position, or if you're groomed into a family, or a situation that you're brought into in life and you give to it, there's little things along the way. I know I was in the Hollywood. I dabbled all in the music industry. And there are, if you show, I'm all in. They will take you in and groom you. If a situation in life brought people to where they desired things and they were bait and carrots were dangled in front of them, perhaps the spirit of a deceased Nephilim possessed them. It happens. They possess you to carry out their dark spiritual agenda. They need a body. They need hands. They need an earthly mouthpiece. Then there are those who say they are from the bloodline of Nephilim. I know one. I don't want to say the name. I know, and the person's not crazy. They're real as can be. I know I've heard of others that have said it on the air that they believe Nephilim, part of the Nephilim after the flood, and that's their line. That's their bloodline. Over the years, many people, theologians and others, have made notes on those they believe are Nephilim spirits. Many Christian psychologists, those that study spiritual supernatural events. I took all of that information and I found it very interesting what they say about this. In order to be possessed and in order for them to want to use you, there are things that they possess that they have certain behavioral characteristics to be a Nephilim host. Now listen to this. Very interesting. I'm not going to go into, I spoke to Dennis about something. And I'm not going to go into it. But there are other characteristics, and I don't want to touch on this because it'll send people down a wild frenzy. But there are other characteristics that prove a bloodline of the Nephilim. Now, I'm saying that to say this. I knew someone in my life, okay, that hit every one of those characteristics and was their offspring was in the banking industry and were very connected to some of the major players in the Republican Party from about 20 years ago. Okay. I told Dennis this morning and he went like this. So at another point, I'll go into that. That's another whole thing. I don't want to send people down a crazy road. But these are behavioral characteristics of those that are kind of like the precursor of who would be good to be inhabited and do the dirty deeds. Okay. Lustfulness, sexual misconduct, deceitfulness, repeated lying, purposeful misrepresentation for personal profit and or pleasure, pattern of instability in relationships marked by control, manipulation, intimidation, and domination over others, rebellious behavior with disregard for the law. Prideful, feels they are above reproach. Those that are considered a narcissist. Vengeful and intense anger. Participation in sorcery, witchcraft, or occult. Disregard for the rights of others. Lack of remorse for heinous acts against humans. Underlying dark personality that's masked by overinflated self-righteousness. Now, it's not, one of those does not mean that. Many, you have to have many. And usually when you have several of those, the others tend to just follow. So this is what happens to that person. Here's some behavioral traits. These are not things I came up with, guys. This is scripture. This is psychologists. These are Christian people who deal in the spirit realm. These are people that they know what they're talking about. They've sat with people that are like this. Yeah, Pat Murphy, they are among us literally. Now, there's those humans, okay? Once that happens and they are then possessed, the spirit then possesses the soul of someone. What are their characteristics then? Sexual perversion, including pedophilia. Sexual domination of others against their will. Trafficker of humans. Engages in cannibalism, which, by the way, is one of the main ways for a person to become a host for a Nephilim spirit. Commits treasonous acts involved in blood occult rituals, including human sacrifices and enslavement of others. So much of this is purposeful demonic possession of people. So now we're going to, let's get there. We got it all. We got the foundation. You know, I love to do that. I laid a foundation for you. Now let's travel that into the Federal Reserve and what happened in the middle. Hang on, I'm getting there, okay? The Federal Reserve is the bedrock of slavery that keeps us bondage, our country in bondage to debt, keeps us in bondage to debt, and created the destructive force of a controlled monetary system that feeds and enslaves everyday people and Americans and people around the world every single day. Johann Adam Weishaupt, a German, he lived from 1748 to 1830, was a German philosopher, professor of civil law, and later canon law, biblical law. He was also the founder of the Bavarian Illuminati, and the Illuminati as we know it today came right out of the Bavarian Illuminati. Guess the date that he founded the Illuminati. May 1st, 1776, which turned also into the Luciferians in honor of Lucifer. Together with, the family we know and love, the Rothschilds, they created a plan for the Illuminati. Here we are now. Now we're up to understand. This is the spirit of Nephilim following all of these people. They really, right there is where they got it. Okay, boom, Illuminati. Now let's start a plan. What was their plan for world domination? Abolish all national governments. Abolish private property. You'll own nothing and you'll be so happy about it. abolish inheritance. Think about that. Destroy patriotism. Destroy Christianity. Destroy the family unit. Create a new world order. To spread this around the world, the Rothschilds, most wealthy family in the world then and now, directed Weishaupt to infiltrate the Continental Order of Freemasons. Understand, at the beginning, the Freemasons were good people. They did a lot of good things, real community group of people. But they infiltrated the Order of Freemasons with the doctrines of the Illuminati. The Rothschilds were 33 third degree Freemasons, and joining forces with the Illuminati, they were unstoppable. So now with power and money, they now hired 2,000 recruits. Why would they do that? Gave them an exorbitant amount of money. The most brilliant men in the arts, authors of writings, education, science, finance, and business. Basically, they cornered the market. These recruits were told, you have a big task, and this is what it is. You must utilize 4 methods of social engineering to control people. We're paying you mega bucks, guys. You need to do this for us. Oh, we're all in. Number 1, use money and bribery to control high-level officials in government and other industries. Once they're entrapped in sex scandals or financial improprieties, blackmail them with threats of harm to them and their family, they'll bow. Number 2, listen to this. Separate the students from universities that have exceptional intelligence from well-bred families and reward them with scholarships like the Rhodes Scholar to study international and global affairs. Number 3, place the agents who have been trapped by blackmail or indebted from scholarship into positions of government to serve as experts and advisors in order to steer policies to align with Illuminati plans of a one world government. That also included eventually creating lobbies, lobby companies, and lobbyists. Same thing. Number 4, obtain absolute control of the press and media to sway the narrative in support of Illuminati agendas. Okay, now that foundation, so we got the Nephilim Foundation, we got this foundation, now Illuminati. Now let's go to the Federal Reserve. 1910, 115 years ago, on Jekyll Island, which is off the coast of Georgia, 6 men met in secret and created the Federal Reserve. And there's nothing federal about it. That's a name they used to make people think that it was part of the government. It's a private company, a private business, a private organization, okay? Infiltrating the United States government. So who were the 6 men that met? And by the way, traveled mostly from New York under pseudonyms, different names. They didn't even go by their own names when they were traveling. So Nelson Aldrich, a Republican senator of Rhode Island and the chair of the Senate Finance Committee. Excuse me? What did I say? A Republican senator of Rhode Island and the chair of the Senate Finance Committee. Mr. Paul Warburg, an international banker. A Piat Andrew, Assistant Secretary of the Treasury. Excuse me? Assistant Secretary of the Treasury. Arthur Shelton, Secretary of the National Monetary Commission. Frank A. Vanderlip, President of National City Bank of New York, which is now known as Citicorp. Henry Davidson, Senior Partner at J.P. Morgan. My. What an illustrious group. This group, which is referred to itself as the First Name Club, met under strict secrecy to avoid public and media attention. Their plan, known as the Aldrich Plan, formed the basis for the Federal Reserve Act, which was signed into law by then President Woodrow Wilson in 1913. This plan was the most diabolical and destructive and the most criminal system of enslavement ever perpetrated on man. Absolutely, in my opinion, the top of the top of the top. So why Jekyll Island? Why? Let me give you a little background on Jekyll Island. Jekyll Island, off the coast of Georgia, belonged to a native tribe called the Sinakua, and they were practitioners of shamanism. So shamanism is it's nature-based, worship nature. You know, a lot of Wiccan witches and stuff like that are into this. A nature-based spiritual past. You know, Mother Nature knows it all. Nature, we worship nature. And where a practitioner called a shaman acts as an intermediary between the spirit world and the human world, them. And they use the spirits that they contact to heal the sick, guide the dead, ensure community well-being. The shamans would enter altered states of consciousness and through trances to communicate with spirits and manipulate spiritual power for community benefit. Okay, so that's the island. The tribe that was on that island, that took over that island, practiced shamanism. They were witnessed sacrificing children. Sounds like the perfect place to create the Federal Reserve. So I asked AI. See, I like to do this because it helps me understand where AI is going. I asked AI, why was the Jekyll Island meeting kept secret? And this is the answer I got. The Jekyll Island meeting was kept secret for two primary reasons: to avoid public and media scrutiny and to prevent the plan's political defeat. A plan, remember Obamacare? What's in it? We'll read it after we vote it in. Same thing. Same understanding, brain understanding. So a plan, this is what it said, a plan to create a central bank, especially one drafted by powerful financiers, would have been deeply unpopular with the American public at the time. Many feared that a central bank, particularly one designed by bankers, would serve the interests of Wall Street elites rather than the public. You think? That's AI. On this island, under that covering and that spirit, they decided to set up in America a central bank to take away from the U.S. Understand, until this point, Congress decided if they were going to print more money. That's why there wasn't crazy inflation. They took that right from Congress And now they had the right to stop printing money or printing money so that the whole country's economy was in their dirty little corrupt hands. This bank was owned by the Rothschilds and many members of the Illuminati and all those men I mentioned to you. So soon the Federal Reserve Act happened, and that took over the printing of all our notes of US money. Along comes World War I, and the Federal Reserve starts printing money. Why? Because the United States needed money. Why? Because of the necessities of war. Why? To turn their factories into producers of armament for the fighters. Who do you think would start a war? My goodness. Do you understand why I'm so against war? Do you understand when we got into things and tried to play the protectors of the world? It drives me crazy because it plays into all of this. I think we should get right out, never have another war again, just pull out all our troops out of everywhere. That's why when things happened and President Trump made some decisions I didn't like, it wasn't because I can't stand President Trump. I hate him, got rid of him. Like all of you got upset with me. Not all of you, some of you. I'm watching like a hawk. I'm watching because the bottom line is, so thank God he's on this now. Praise the name of Jesus. But the bottom line is the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve Act. So every time there's a war, they print money. And this is how we go into debt. And that is why they love wars. They make it two ways. It's a double dip for them. America borrows money from the Federal Reserve Bank, and they loan the United States money and charged interest. And they soon realized, wait a second, I know what we can do. Instead of just charging the United States and charging interest, let's do credit cards and charge just a couple of percent interest at the beginning. But before 50 years is over, guys, we'll be at 20 and 30% like legal sharks. We're loan sharks. That's what the Federal Reserve is. But yesterday, President Trump, I did a dance, became the first president ever to remove a sitting Federal Reserve governor on the Reserve Board. Lisa Cook just got fired. She wanted higher rates, and now she's being looked into for mortgage fraud. I believe he is about to break open the Federal Reserve. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right, and I hope he does it. He's after Jerome Powell as well. See, if I know this, you know darn well President Donald J. Trump knows this, because if there's one thing you're not going to beat him on, is finances. So he's after Jerome Powell as well, who is just another descendant of all the people, the Nephilim and everything we're talking about. He is right. Boom, 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 boom. Jerome Powell. You think they gave that to him because he's a good old boy that plays poker with them on Friday nights? No. He is this. What I love is how recently Trump gave Jerome Powell a handwritten note, put it on his desk. This was a couple of months back. Literally he did this. After several phone calls, many emails, no response, handwritten note. Jerome, you are, as usual, too late. You have cost the USA a fortune and continue to do so. You should lower the rate by a lot. Hundreds of billions of dollars being lost. No inflation. Signed, President Donald J. Trump. See, Trump is trying to get the Federal Reserve to lower its rates drastically so the Americans can refinance their debt at a lower rate. As president, can he abolish it completely? Absolutely not. Because of federal law, he cannot do it. So don't get mad at him because he's not abolishing the Federal Reserve. He literally cannot do it. Dismantling the Federal Reserve involves legislative action to repeal the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, which established the system, and abolishing its board of, you have to abolish its board of governors. Look, he just fired someone, and regional banks that are connected to the Federal Reserve. Now, there have been many proposals for ending the Fed, often suggesting replacing it with a free market monetary system, potentially including competing currencies or a gold-backed dollar, which is what we were all hoping for. It could be dismantled through an act of legislation, like the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act, that has already been introduced in past Congresses. That's why, do you know how important it is to really find out who you're voting for? You might have to vote sometimes Democrat. You might have to vote sometimes Republican. You might have to vote sometimes Libertarian. It's very, very important you vote for the person and not the party. Such an act would abolish the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System and each Federal Reserve Bank, and repeal the Federal Reserve Act itself, typically with an effective date, like 1 year after passing it, and allow it to wind up all its affairs. Senator Mike Lee from Utah introduced the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act, arguing that the Federal Reserve has overstepped and repeatedly failed to achieve its mandate, contributing to financial instability and enabling unchecked government spending and debt monetization, which leads to inflation and cripples Americans. So where is the Abolition Act now? As of August 26th, that is yesterday, the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act exists as multiple bills introduced in the U.S. Congress, none of which have been enacted into law. They plan, if passed, to dissolve the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System and the Federal Reserve Banks and repeal the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Currently, in the 119th Congress, that's 2025 to 2026, there are two versions of the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act. Now, whoever puts these things in chats, please put these in. This is very important because at the end, you guys say you want a better United States of America? Call your congressman. Call. I'm serious. Be part of the solution. It's why I'm doing all of this to get to this point. These are the two that are in currently, right now, the two versions of the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act. Okay? The first one is H.R. 1846 and S.869. Whoever gets that, please put it in the chats. Senator Mike Lee, Republican of Utah, and Representative Thomas Massey, Republican of Kentucky, introduced this legislation, which would transfer the Federal Reserve assets and liabilities to the Department of Treasury, and then President Trump and the Congress can get hold of this economy again. A similar bill was introduced in the previous 118th Congress. That was 2023 and 2024. There was another one, Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act, 2007 and 2008. Proponents of the act, such as Senator Lee and Representative Massey, argue that the Federal Reserve has failed. It's become an economic manipulator. It's contributed to financial instabilities, They create inflation. Trillions of dollars in the hole this country is now. I'm going to repeat all this at the end, guys. The director of the Office of Management and Budget would then liquidate all assets of the Federal Reserve. Could you imagine? In an orderly manner to maximize return to the Treasury. Everybody says, shut the Treasury, shut the Treasury. I say, keep the Treasury open. Get rid of the Federal Reserve. Then deal with the Treasury. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 established the Federal Reserve System and its function, and only Congress has the power to amend it. Don't scream at President Trump. Don't scream at the next president. Only Congress. I don't care what people say on other shows. Only Congress can get rid of the Federal Reserve. Now, the Federal Reserve banks were rechartered into perpetuity by the McFadden Act of 1927, meaning there is no expiration date for the Federal Reserve System unless it's stopped by Congress. So here we are, over a century later, and still being enslaved financially by the Federal Reserve, who has its lineage and legacy traced all the way back to the giants, the Nephilim. This did not happen overnight, but you see, they're smart. They know how, and there's a lot of, it's tough. See, 2026 to me is the year, and 2028. Because those 2 years, if we do this right, and there's not any finagling, and I'm hoping there's not, I'm believing God, we could get people into Congress that actually would vote for this. Watch Senator Lee and Representative Massey. These are the two. Post to them on X. Encourage them. Write to your congressperson. You want to support them to support the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act in the Senate by Senator Lee, and in the House of Representatives by Representative Massey. Once again, they are HR 1846 and S. 869. So what do they do for us to keep us quiet so that we don't all get up in arms over this? They keep us distracted. Like, oh, look what's happening over here. Look what's happening over there. I don't fall for this stuff. You don't see me go, breaking news. Look what just happened. I won't lead you down that road. I won't. I can't. It's BS. Look at over this. Over here, sleight of hand. Now I'm doing this. Guys, don't fall for it. It's keeping us distracted. It really is. They're keeping us sick. But now things are starting to come out. Praise the Lord. And then they keep us divided. I have begged people to not engage with people who don't believe like you do. Don't engage. Don't do it. Keeping the peace on social media and thanking people for their opinion when someone comes against you when you post something is the biggest way you can fight the enemy. Unity at all costs. Look, this has been the same plan for thousands and thousands of years. Nothing has changed except the players. And I believe some of them are the same players that just somebody else. I've seen a lot of people that look like people from old. And we don't know. Could absolutely be true. We don't know. You got any questions? 3 question marks. And your question. I'm going to take a few. It's getting late. I wish I could do this and read at the same time, because I'm sure there's so many great comments. Yeah, they are getting outed, Red Bronze. They're getting outed. Look, I'm one of the people that's going to out them. Melissa Delora for governor of Colorado. No thanks. No thanks. I'll tell you, a lot of people, I've been, a lot of people ask me to run for office, and this is my problem. Okay, if I run for office, I'm a very I'm a we the people. I really am. I'm like a people person. I'm like I am you kind of person. Kim was like that too. Prophet Kim Clement. He just, he was like that. He was just like he's not who he was. And I my feeling was, if I do something like that, because I did run for office once when I was younger. I was in my late 20s, early 30s. I ran for local government. I was an atheist at that time. And I ran on a pro-life platform. Can you imagine? I was an atheist. So for me, going into government would make me fight them one-on-one. See, I ended up in Congress. You know what they're going to do to me. You know what they're going to do. And I don't know if it's something I have the grace to deal with. And if I don't have the grace to deal with it, then I don't think it is for me. Now, if somebody approached me and said, look, I'm going to fund it all and I'm going to do it. Let's at least get you on the ballot. You can get out there. I would consider that. But then I would know that's God, because the door opened. You know what I mean? So thank you. I get this all the time. People email me all the time. And thank you. I think it's quite an honor that you even would want to even consider me. But yeah, it would probably not be the best thing for me. Lady Ella, do you really think an evil spirit can hover and impregnate? Yeah, I do. Now I'm going to tell you why. It's a spirit. You understand? It's a spirit. There is no other way to consider how a spirit can impregnate, and it's all over Genesis and all over the book of Enoch and the book of Jasher about how these giants came to be. Evil spirits and beautiful women. So that is the way I consider it, Lady Ella. That's how I reason it in my mind. You understand? Because it did happen 100%. Okay, let's see. Okay, do you think the military, Peggy Cornish, this is only my opinion, but do you think the military being sent to certain liberal cities is a precursor to abolishing the Federal Reserve? I don't know, Peggy, how much military was sent. I know National Guard. That's not actually the military. It's like a sidearm of it. But if you have information that military were sent to cities, maybe, I don't know. I think I may be wrong about President Trump, but I think he's doing it very smart. I think he's doing it line upon line, precept upon precept. And I just hope maybe that's why he's so into this, crypto. I don't know. I'm trying to, with that firing, made me sit up and take notice. Like, whoa, what's he doing here? That's why I did this today. Let's see. Should you pray for demon-possessed people that don't want, I don't, Mimi Collier, should I pray for demon possessed people? No, if it's free will, if they want it, they're not backslidden. You understand? It's not like God said he's married to the backslider. He's not married to a demon possessed person unless they want to be free, and then deliverance, and then they go a different way. But I personally don't. I pray for this country and that people will be put in certain people's spots that I believe are there. I pray for that. I really, David Costello, I got to get over to Rumble. Let's see. I really like our Treasury Secretary Bessent, but he said President Trump has a great respect for the Fed. Yeah, I don't know. David. I don't know. I'm hoping he's wrong. I got to get over here with Mimi Dance because I like this question. I got to tell you guys something. Delora, Brandon Bragg said they are planning to have a blonde seduce President Trump to have an affair to bring him down. Do you think he will be stupid to do that? I don't, but I want to tell you something about Brandon Bragg, and my husband can verify this. This is very bizarre to me, and I probably should contact him. I have not shared it, but there are two, and possibly one other prophetic words that he has said that I told Dennis that God spoke to me before he did. And I did not release it because I wasn't allowed to. So Brandon Bragg saying it, not that he's Kim to me. He's not. But God is showing me something that one of the things, man, I'm hoping the two of us are wrong. I'm hoping we're wrong, because man, it was spot on to what God spoke to me. And I told Dennis, and then a week later, Brandon Bragg says it. Very, very wild. Very wild. So, Mimi, I hope that answers your question. It could be that he will be tempted. I think he's too smart for that. Shan 1455, do you believe this is still the year of all that was in the dark is definitely coming to light, be judged by God, and get what they deserve? Okay, that's two parts. This is what I believe. I believe the dark will definitely come to light. Yes, it's already happening. Do I believe that they will get what they deserve this year? No. I believe that's going to happen in 2027. But that's just me. Jan, question, no off the cuff on Fridays anymore. I will do one next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday. It's a very special one, actually. But this is my problem, Jan. We are really out straight. We've got so much going on. I don't even know where to begin. We are out straight. And you have to remember also, I don't just get off here and then go on Jan, I'm not saying this to you, obviously, and you people probably don't believe this, but I don't get put up in the closet and then come out. I have family obligations, as well. I've got all personal stuff happening, which is family stuff. And then I've got all ministry stuff happening and like new ministry stuff. So it's a lot. So I kind of took a break, Jan. But thank you for asking that, because September 5th, I'm coming on with one. Dennis and I both doing a very special one. Okay, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got over here. I'm caught up over there. Let's see. Epic Insight. Don't you have to submit or accept a spirit to overcome you? Yeah, well, that did you probably joined late, Epic Insight. I went over that at the beginning. Yeah. So no, Mimi, I'm doing off the cuff on Wednesday. It's just Friday is not going to be every single one. Lauren Kleiss, you crack me up. Delora is elf on the shelf. You people crack me up. Oh man, I love you guys. I'll tell you. Still on Wednesdays, yeah. Okay, I think that's about it. Um, I love you guys, and I appreciate you. I appreciate all you do. I appreciate your comments. If you could do something to me for me, please subscribe and like and share. Okay, that would help me. That helps me get this word out. The second thing you can do for me is to please, 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 please. When I give you like these things that I gave you to call your congressman, write, post to them on Facebook, post to them on X, post to Senator Lee, post to Representative Massey. Please, if you could do that, that would be the best, the best, the best. It would really help a lot. I try to do these to get this out to people. But you know, it's tough. It's tough. Magnolia, looking forward to Fab 4. I laughed so hard last Friday. Yeah, I laughed so hard. I don't want to tell you what I almost did. Oh man. Okay. Anyway, so let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. Help me. Help me. Go over there. Get the shirt. We'll all be twinsies. Hey, take a picture and you can post it. I'll take all the pictures and I'll put them together. That would be fun. I just thought of that. Anyway, if you get this, I'm serious now. I'm serious. If you get this, because it's really awesome and it's cheap. If you get this, you like camo, take a picture of it with you in it and send it and email it to me. And I'll take a picture in it and I'll put all our pictures together and I'll post it. Oh, that would be hysterical. Oh my goodness, Jenna would flip. All right, so this is a take a stand camouflage top. There are only a few in stock in each size. Beautiful. Well, I'm telling you, soft, made in the USA. They won't last, she said, under $26. Okay, and free shipping. And 10% off if you never bought anything before with Welcome 10 code. This necklace, it's stainless steel, a double wing. It's called Psalm 91 double wings pendant with center. This is a real Austrian crystal. And the mug, my mug, this is a New Mercies every morning. But they also have all kinds of, she's got all kinds of, God's got this and all kinds of stuff. Great, like starting to get some Christmas stuff ahead. And Jenna said, everything is in the link below. Okay, everything. And this and the mug. And also you can find them if you go to joyncountry.com in Delora's closet. She said, I just added a lot of new, in big letters, items to the store yesterday, some lightweight and some heavier fall clothing. And as always, free US shipping. And remember, if you never bought anything before, 10% off with the code WELCOME10. Love you, love you, love you. I will see you on Fab 4 on Friday. I have to make sure that I don't put up too much funny stuff. I'll tell you. You know what it is? It's Dennis and me and Charlie and Joe. Now, I love everybody else that comes on. We bring other people on. I love it, especially Johnny Patriot. I love Johnny Patriot. But when the four of us are on, it's silly. It just gets silly. And thank God. I just love it. Mimi Collier said, I laughed my hiney off. Me too, Mimi Collier. I could use to do that as well. All right, guys. Love you dearly. Please call, post to those people, share this, just however to get we gotta end this Federal Reserve Act. We gotta close down the Federal Reserve. Everything will change like that. Love you. Go in the power of God.